everybody. I'm Maddie Montequilla, and I am a product manager on the .NET MAUI team, coming to you from my house to talk about .NET MAUI roadmaps and updates. Now that we are released, it is build. We have .NET MAUI. It's shipped. It's GA. We're very excited. And if you haven't heard of .NET MAUI yet, it is our cross-platform framework for building mobile and desktop apps with .NET, with C#, with XAML, all the things you know and love. And it's got a single project, a single code base that deploys to all of these different targets. So you can deploy to all the different devices, but still access the native device capabilities that you'd expect from a mobile or a desktop app from a single API. You don't have to write a different implementation for every platform you're on. And of course, with the amazing productivity tools you get from Visual Studio. So it's currently in Visual Studio 17.3 Preview 1. So the .NET MAUI SDK, the actual code, the development kit has been GA'd. Our tooling is in preview for one more release so that we can make sure we get all of the fixes and new features out to you as quickly as possible. So you're going to want to download the preview version of Visual Studio. It's just visualstudio.com/preview. And then you'll be able to check off .NET MAUI as an installable thing and get started right away. So why on earth should you use this MAUI thing besides the fact that it's amazing? Well, first of all, with .NET 6 and with all of the .NETs in the future, it's really a unified system. We have a unified base class library. All of our types are unified. There's CLI support with MAUI. We have the modern SDK style projects. And of course, the modern support lifecycle you get with the .NET framework or .NET ecosystem. You get both desktop apps and hybrid desktop apps, which we're not going to dive into too much in this talk. There's a lot of great content on it already on the internet. But really what that means is you can stick an existing Blazor app, your Blazor app that runs in the web, you can put it in a .NET MAUI app and run it on your desktop, whether that's Windows or Mac, which is really, really cool. And that's using the Windows App SDK framework under the hood on Windows, of course, and then the Mac Catalyst framework under the hood for Mac OS. So you can build fully native desktop apps for both of those platforms, whether you want to use XAML and C# and write it all native from the get-go, or if you want to take your web app and put it into the .NET MAUI app to run it natively. And of course, one thing we love talking about on the .NET team is just how productive you are with .NET. Not only with Visual Studio and the features you get from that, such as your visual diagnostic suites and XAML Hot Reload and .NET Hot Reload, but also, of course, with things we do in the SDK in .NET itself, like using Microsoft extensions, our single project framework for .NET MAUI, so you can put all of your images in one place, all your fonts in one place, not have to copy them on all the different platforms you're targeting. And it is amazing. There are a lot of things we did under the hood to make MAUI really, really awesome. And these are just some of them. One, I think the most important one, the reason MAUI took as long as it did is because we decoupled all of the platform controls from our cross-platform implementations of those controls. So it's now easier to extend and modify, so you can add different app models, such as Model View Update instead of MVVM, which is what a lot of us use in the .NET desktop world. But we also make it so that it's very, very easy for us to add target platforms in the future. So if we ever wanted to extend to something beyond the 4 that we have today, Android, iOS, Mac, and Windows, we could do that. Of course, there's a bunch of other stuff. I mean, unification with .NET is a huge thing. That's the whole reason we're able to do the Blazor hybrid goodness. And we have a lot of the things that you love from Xamarin. .NET MAUI is an evolution of Xamarin and Xamarin Forms. So Shell, which is our navigation stack that we introduced in Xamarin Forms 4. We have that in MAUI. It is amazing, and it's refactored, so it's even more performant, more consistent, and it's more maintainable for both us and you as our end developer. So with MAUI, you get a lot of things in the box and easy to get if it's not in the box. On the left here, you have a ton of things that you kind of get for free. 7 layouts, 44 views in the box with MAUI, along with our Essentials library, which is how you get all of those device-specific APIs in a cross-platform way. So things like accessing geolocation or opening a file picker or seeing the accelerometer or checking connectivity of the device. All of those things are built right into MAUI, along with our graphics library. So you can draw your own controls if you don't want to use the native ones under the hood. And then there's Xamarin Forms compatibility, and of course the amazing .NET MAUI community toolkit, which has a whole bunch of other things that you can add into your MAUI app. Another package you can just pull in on NuGet and do way more. And it's all open source, so you can go check all of it out and, of course, contribute back. There's a bunch of new capabilities when you compare MAUI to Xamarin and Xamarin Forms, including, of course, the Blazor web view. That's how all the magic with Blazor Hybrid happens. But also the ability to set an app icon, a splash screen, and add images all in a cross-platform shared way. So you can literally take a foreground image and say, this is my app icon, and the background color should be this. And that will also be my splash screen, and just do that in some XML. And then it just works on all the platforms magically. It's probably my favorite feature of MAUI, if you can't tell by how excited I am about it. And of course, there are some changes. We will talk at the end of this a little bit about how to upgrade if you are coming from Xamarin and you're not new to .NET MAUI and .NET cross-platform development altogether. But little things changed. The namespace, obviously, it's no longer using Xamarin Forms, it's using Microsoft.MAUI, but we'll talk about how to get your apps updated. The most important thing is that, no, it is not a rewrite of your application. The flavor of XAML and almost all of the APIs have remained exactly the same. There are very select ones we changed because we thought it was time for a change, and we got to undo some of the mistakes or choices we made in the past that we have grown out of. A couple examples quickly of things that we have done in MAUI to make making beautiful apps super, super easy. I think shadow is my favorite. This is all you have to do to add a drop shadow to an image. You have the offset, you have the radius of the shadow, you have the opacity of it, and that's it. Like, it's just the .NET bot, add a shadow to it. That's all the code you have to do. And that's, of course, in XAML. You can do this in C# if you prefer C#, but we use XAML by default for a lot of our examples. Same thing with adding something like a border. If you are coming from other cross-platform frameworks or from Xamarin, you know that adding a border to buttons or to certain rectangles or something was always the most difficult thing. Like, you had to drop down to the native platform and add it in all these particular ways. And we have made it easy. We brought it back up to the cross-platform layer. We have all of the different stroke modifiers that you could possibly want to make your border beautiful. You have your corner radius. It's awesome. And it's all .NET MAUI. This screenshot is from Preview 9, if you can tell. We are now GA. We are no longer in Preview 9. You can do this right now in your apps. It's very exciting. One of the things that would be that it would be really incomplete of us to talk about MAUI without is our performance work we've done. So we've done a lot of performance work across the board with .NET. .NET 6 was hugely performant. .NET 7 is going to continue to be hugely performant. So we've done the same thing with MAUI. This one is the comparison of a .NET MAUI template compared to a Xamarin Forms template. Just going to click it real quick. Look how much faster the one on the right loaded up. I'm going to go back, do it one more time. Go back. What? So much faster. It's almost 35% faster than Xamarin Forms. And we've done it with big apps too, not just the default sample app. And there are still a lot of improvements. A lot of that comes from optimizations for XAML-C, the XAML compiler, and some basic changes we made under the hood, some sane defaults we made to make everything a lot faster. And of course, we have the comparison to native itself. So this is a Xamarin Android app, and then the .NET Android app comes up much faster. .NET 6 Android is way faster. Way less system reflection emit is kind of the big one. If you've heard of this before, you know that's probably how we got a lot of the performance improvements. So, boom, that's it. Oh, keep playing it back. .NET MAUI, if you want to start using it today, like I mentioned at the beginning, it is in preview currently. It is in the preview branch of Visual Studio. So that's 17.3 as of right now. You can go in to the modifier for your workload installer and click off mobile development with .NET. And then the .NET MAUI preview button right down here. Check it off. That installs everything you need to get started. When 17.3 goes GA, which will be later because we just shipped 17.2, we are going to update this workload to say .NET MAUI instead of Xamarin. The checkbox is going to be on by default. and what you can start using today and what you will continue to see improvements on until we ship 17.3 GA is all of your hot tools, your hot reloads, the property pages, the publishing experience for all the different target platforms you want, and many, many more tooling updates and fixes we've made. You might be a Mac developer. If you are a Visual Studio for Mac developer, that's awesome. We are also having .NET MAUI supported on the Mac, of course. It's going to be in preview as well. So you're going to want to get the preview release of Visual Studio for Mac, which is currently 17.1. We are aiming for general availability with 17.2 Visual Studio for Mac. So it's a little bit confusing because it's the same kind of numbers, but they're not at the same time. But this would be roughly the release in the fall. And that highly depends on how many bugs we have filed on us based on your feedback when you test it out. We're going to focus on the building blocks first. That's what you can start using in the preview branch now. Things like just building, deploying, debugging, and XAML hot reloading. But we're going to bring in a lot more tooling later as we continue through the release process and nail things down. If you're wondering, just a heads up, Xamarin development is totally stable with 17.0 GA on the Mac. So yes, you can keep doing Xamarin work, which kind of begs the question, you know, what does this look like, right? In the time frame that we have coming up. We've been saying May and 17.3 and 17.2 and GA and blah, 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 and .NET 7. Here is a kind of rudimentary look at our roadmap. Really where we are is here. We're in May. Happy build, everybody. We have the VS Mac 17.1 preview with MAUI and the VS 2022 on Windows 17.3 preview with MAUI. But of course, the MAUI SDK itself is GA. It has the Go Live licensing you need to start shipping apps with it. And then we will have kind of a bump in the MAUI versioning over the summer when we GA the Windows tooling experience, when we have a little bit more updates for Mac, so that in the fall, you can have a full Visual Studio for Mac and Windows .NET MAUI developer experience around the same time that .NET 7 GA is out. And we've announced .NET Con for those dates, so mark our calendars. That'll be happening in November. Very exciting. This is kind of just a slide summarizing that past slide in text. So if you go back to look at this without audio, you might be able to follow it better. But really what we're asking in May is that you start new mobile and desktop projects with .NET MAUI. If you have not, used it before, just file new, check it out, tell us how you like it. If you are currently on Xamarin or Xamarin Forms, you can start evaluating the migration and provide some feedback to us if you'd like, especially what NuGet packages aren't available yet, what doesn't look right when you finish migrating. And like I said earlier, we will talk about the Upgrade Assistant and how that works for you. So some of the things we're looking at for .NET 7, and this is obviously subject to change as all things are, but what's top of mind right now is we want to get better map support and dual screen support. But of course, better quality and performance across the board. We want to continue to fix bugs as much as possible. And improve platform interop. And that means that if you do something with a native Android or iOS or Mac library that you can't access from .NET, it doesn't have a .NET SDK, we want to make it easier for you to do those things. Got a lot of ideas about it. We'll figure it out. Look out for it in .NET 7, probably in an experimental way. There's also a lot of investigations. People ask, what about this? What about this? What about Linux? What about MVU? What about drawing? Blah, blah, blah. There's a whole bunch of opportunities. You can check out our GitHub. You can check out the discussions tab of github.com/.net/MAUI. And a lot of these things are on there. Feel free to drop in your thoughts. I mean, we just shipped GA of this thing, so we're going to get our feet on the ground and continue to listen to customer feedback, to your feedback, to the developer communities that we have both in .NET and in the greater developer ecosystem, and see where we can go next, not just .NET 7, but also .NET 8 and beyond, .NET 10,000. I don't know if we'll ever get there. Hopefully we do. If you're on Xamarin, you probably are wondering, what happens to my Xamarin apps? Great question. Well, it's part of the modern support lifecycle. So it's going to be supported 2 years from the last release, which was November. So you will have Xamarin support through November 2023. That's all you need. If you don't want to migrate to MAUI right away, you don't have to. Don't feel the pressure. We would love for you to, because we think it's pretty great. And we also think that you can start taking advantage of things with very little effort. But we get it. Some people aren't ready. That's okay. It's new. We're excited. If you do want to update right away, which you totally should because it's the best, you can keep an eye out for this summer around the same time that the Windows tooling 17.3 goes GA. The .NET Upgrade Assistant will have support for .NET MAUI. So you might have heard of .NET Upgrade Assistant in some different contexts, getting your apps from framework to core, whether that's WPF or WinForms or some of the web stacks we have. We are extending the open source .NET Upgrade Assistant tool to support Xamarin Forms to .NET MAUI or Xamarin Native to .NET 6 native apps. It's going to update your CS proj file, that project file that tells Visual Studio what is going on in your project. It's going to move it to the modern SDK style project. It's going to change your target frameworks to be correct for .NET 6 and let you start taking advantage of the single project stuff we have. We'll change your namespaces. We'll change most of the APIs that we can kind of find and replace pretty easily. We'll do that all for you, so you don't have to do that find and replace. And then we are also going to work on a NuGet updater tool that's part of .NET Upgrade Assistant to kind of intelligently replace NuGets with ones that are from ones that are compatible with Xamarin Forms to ones that are compatible with .NET MAUI. If you are a library maintainer or someone in our community who has something on NuGet and you're worried about upgrading to .NET MAUI or supporting .NET MAUI for your customers, please, please, please reach out. My email is Maddie, M-A-D-D-Y, @Microsoft.com. And we are more than happy to chat with you, learn a lot about what's going on, what your concerns are, and kind of help you through the update process so you can get our community on MAUI. So get started today. Very excited. I hope you enjoy Build and have enjoyed all of the content the teams have put together for you. These are some of the important links, but most importantly, you want to get the Visual Studio Preview, .NET 6, and of course, .NET MAUI will be installed with the Visual Studio Preview. That's all you need to get started. So thank you so much for joining me. You just heard my email, so feel free to reach out with any questions, and we'll make sure we continue to tweet out all the great links and things that we share during Build this year. So thank you, everybody.